Do you have real estate and are wondering if you should put it in your trust? Hi, my name is Mike Rakowski, estate planning, asset protection, and elder law attorney. We get asked that question so often regarding real estate. What should I be doing with it to make sure that it avoids the probate process? Should I be putting it into a trust? What are the things I need to consider? Interestingly, most times a lot of families come to us when they need help with probate because of a real estate issue. Whether there's a piece of property that they can't transfer into an heir's name, whether that's spouse, children, usually we have to get involved to transfer that because there's a roadblock when trying to either sell the property, transfer title, or any of those things. We have to get involved for probate. So how do I avoid probate? A lot of times we're using trust to avoid the probate process. A lot of times we're thinking about things like, is there still a step up in basis? One of the worst things that you can do is transfer property to a child or a beneficiary during your lifetime, because what they're gonna lose their step up in basis. And what a step up in basis is essentially the value at which they inherit the property. Simple example of this would be, let's say a house you bought 30 years ago. You bought the house originally for $100,000. Well, today, with inflation and everything else that has happened, the house is now worth $500,000. If you transfer that property to a child or beneficiary during your lifetime, when they go to sell the property, they're gonna owe the difference in taxes between the $100,000 and what they sell the property for today. If they inherit the property after death through a trust, they will get what's called a step up in basis. They will essentially receive the property as though they paid $500,000 for it, not the $100,000 which you originally paid. So that $400,000 is now not taxable. When they go to sell it, let's say they sell it for $550,000, they're just going to owe taxes on the $50,000 instead of the $450,000, if that makes sense. So it's very advantageous to transfer property after death through a tool like a trust. A lot of times we get questions about things like ladybird deeds. Is a ladybird deed, also called a life estate deed, is that a useful tool to transfer real estate to avoid the probate process? And the answer to that is yes. A ladybird deed or a life estate deed is an estate planning tool to essentially put a beneficiary designation on a property. It gives you the ability to say, well, I own this property during my lifetime, but after I pass away, it goes to this person, and you get to appoint or designate who that person is. So that's another valuable tool when it comes to real estate. Real estate is usually a initial factor in considering whether to do estate planning. Comes to us all the time. A lot of times families think it's, the wealth, the entire wealth of the family, of the assets. But really, if there's real estate, you need to start thinking about doing some planning. Other things to consider when we're talking about real estate. When it comes to elder law planning, we're helping families get on the Medicaid long-term care benefit. If we have more than one property, the general rule is you're allowed one house, one car, and a certain amount of cash assets. Well, if there's more than one property, we can protect and preserve more properties if there are properties. It's also a great way to avoid estate recovery. If you do utilize the Medicaid long-term care benefit, then you can avoid having the state come after your assets after you pass away. So there's a lot of useful reasons why we would use a trust in conjunction with real estate. Also, if there's estate tax issues, if we're above the federal estate tax, we can put extra properties in certain types of trust to take them out of the taxable estate. So as you can see, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but real estate is usually a great indicator that we need to do some type of planning. So I hope that was helpful. Again, talking all about real estate and how it plays into estate planning. If you have any questions about that, happy to help. Mike Rakowski with the Rakowski Law Firm, estate planning, asset protection, and elder law attorney.